make it your mission to absolutely mess it all up. Because if we're always succeeding, then we need to work harder to fail, because that is where we learn. That's where the magic happens. That's how we become better as humans. I define the pause effect quite simply, to be honest. Intentional pauses for intentional results. Pausing isn't about stopping and doing nothing. It's about pausing long enough for us as humans to ensure the next move is the right one. So, for me, when we pause intentionally, it like unlocks this new level of human potential for us to perform better, be happier, healthier, more fulfilled. And it's really about pausing to control the narrative and tapping into things like our intuition to make better and more purposeful decisions. And I think to achieve more in life and business, we need to become very aware of ourselves, how we think, feel, what we do. And when we become aware of our actions, when we can truly reflect and understand our emotions, reframe our thoughts and move differently, this is really where we start to change the game in life and in business, and even as a mother and as a friend, to be honest. So allowing time for pausing, professionally and personally, will dramatically shift how we show up every day. Now, I could go on about this topic for a long time, but I'll start just with one. It starts in the first hour from when you open your eyes. Better habits. Let's swap the morning phone scroll that many do, and checking emails immediately for things like meditation, really enabling our brain to work as it needs to focus properly. So what I mean by that is we all go to the gym and we work out, but we also need to work this. So a lot of what I do is around mental fitness, visualization. So imagine yourself before you even step out of bed that day. Take that time. How am I going to show up today? Visualize, what you're wearing. What do you smell like? How will you walk into the station? How are you showing up? And things like playing out meetings or presentations. What am I wearing? What am I focusing on? Who's in the room? What does my tone sound like? When we mentally rehearse, the brain has already done the work. It's already focused. Which limits distraction. But the other thing that I would say to do is to put in distraction time. And when I say this to people, honestly, they think I'm crazy. But distraction isn't the enemy. Uncontrolled distraction is. So I feel that scheduled distraction is like this pressure release valve for your brain. It allows you to, your thoughts to wander and to have space so that we can get back into that deep work without self-sabotaging it, if that makes sense. And the problem with our brain is not that it's distracted, is that it's actually overstimulated. And our brains are addicts. They crave distraction. They crave that dopamine hit from social media. But when we start to train our brain with intentional pauses, it won't mean, unfortunately, that you'll have fewer distractions, but your mind will be much less stimulated, which means it didn't seek the distraction in the first place. I remember years ago being asked, what are you good at? And my response was, I'm really good at winning, and the smile that come on their faces. But in the next breath, I said, because I'm really good at failing, and that smile left. I didn't get that job, actually. I should have probably just walked in and said, hello, I'm Tracey Hill, and I fail a lot, and actually I make it my mission to fail. But I'm very fortunate enough that I get to coach and work with some amazing founders. And not long ago, one said to me, no, I'm really struggling. I'm struggling because I think I'm going to mess this up. And they became quite stagnant. And I said, like, why are you stopping? Because you're scared to mess it up. Go out there, please, for the next 4 weeks, make it your mission. Make it your mission to absolutely mess it all up. Because if we're always succeeding, then we need to work harder to fail, because that is where we learn. That's where the magic happens. That's how we become better as humans. That's how we become better, better entrepreneurs, better inventors. So let's think about setbacks as a setup for a comeback, a setup for success. And then we use these lessons as, for our next move, to adapt, to pivot. We use these lessons as our stories, and I have many. Intuitive intelligence, in its most simplistic form, is about accessing and connecting data and dots that we as humans previously ignore. It's moving beyond decisions made purely on logic or an Excel spreadsheet. And it's embracing data from our 3 brains. So we have the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain. And this is the place where all of our neurons live. And I say actually to many people, if you're only making decisions above the neck, then we have a big problem. And I'll give you an example. So I don't know if you've ever walked into a meeting room and the energy was just off, like you felt it. I know for me, many times, I've walked into a boardroom meeting or a client meeting and everyone's smiling, nodding their heads to everything that I'm saying when I'm presenting, and they're all saying the right things. And you leave and your colleagues are high-fiving, going, that was a brilliant meeting, we're going to win that deal. But something doesn't feel right. And you know that something's off. Now, many ignore that. And this is where intuition plays a huge role in business. And there are 3 types of intuitives, and I don't know which one you are, but there's visual, there's audio, and there's body. So visual, it's like understanding, where their attention is, where they're looking when you're talking, and different body languages. Audio is my favorite one, is listening to what's not being said. And body is really around feelings. And actually, when you master all 3, it will absolutely revolutionize your performance. You'll find this newfound confidence. And ultimately, yes, it's survival. You will survive. And I don't mean life and death, but you'll survive in business. It will take your business to the next level. I think that making decisions from our neck up is, I'm not going to say pointless, because it absolutely isn't, but it's very limiting. It's like having 2D vision when you have 4D available. And I know which one I want. So I want the 4D and more. So I highly advise that if something feels off, that you pause and you give it the time it deserves, and that could be just by, being present in that moment, by doing some breath work, going for a walk, doing 5-10 minutes of meditation, or getting a group together and start to ask, what are the questions that I didn't ask in that meeting? Is there anything that needs to happen with this conversation that we're not talking about? And you know what? It's just about being brave enough to explore it and to call it out. And the answers will always come. You just need to pause to hear it. And I'm a big advocate of intuitive intelligence, in case you couldn't tell. But I believe once it's put in motion, this will separate the future leader from the past.